Hey guys, with my bigger shift to literary-based content on this channel, I decided to do a first. This is every book I've read in the last 3 months. I'm going to be talking about them. This is mainly inspired by the videos of the YouTuber Ian Gubelli, who is probably my favorite literary YouTuber. So I got 6 books, nope, 5 books that I read in the last 3 months. And spoilers, they're all really good. So yeah, I've been on a big craze of books recently. I've been going to bookstores all over my city, trying to find classics, trying to find vintage copies of books I already own because I am also a collector, a very avid collector. I'm trying to get out of it. It's kind of an addiction. But yeah, I got 5 great books that I read these last 3 months. And what better way to start off with the man, the big D, Dostoevsky with Demons, which, holy crap, you guys really undersold this book because I was hearing that this book is good, amazing even, but on the lower end when it comes to Dostoevsky. Like I always saw it rank lower on Dostoevsky lists, which is insane because after having read it and kind of went back on certain chapters, this is quite probably my second favorite book ever written by Dostoevsky. I've read his Big Four. I've read The Idiot. I've read Crime and Punishment, and I've read Brothers Karamazov. And Brothers K is still his best book by far. Obviously, everyone knows that, and I'm not one to deny that. It's the truth. But I'm probably one of the few people that actually thinks Demons is like his second best book. I like this better than Crime and Punishment even, which, yeah, Crime and Punishment is his most tightly plotted book, his most complete one, his most defining one. But this is his most complex, layered, and psychological and political novel that he's ever read. The first bit of it's a bit slow, and it does take some time for like the psychological thematic stuff to get going. But man, when it does, it pulls you in, and this book does not let up. Sorry about that. I have a bit of a cold. This book is brutal. It is raw. It does not sugarcoat anything. It features heavy violence every now and then, which is, I mean, not to say that violence is new to Dostoevsky, but this one definitely indulges in it a bit more. This book really lives up to the title of Demons. It follows a group of radical students, and I dare not say anything else about the story because I would be doing you a disservice by spoiling this absolute masterpiece. It is his second longest book, right behind Karamazov. And though it feels longer, I think that slower moving plot is honestly integral. It's important to really jam into your mind, to really show the slow descent into madness, the psychological development of these characters and these themes that are portrayed through said characters, as always with Dostoevsky novels. And not much else to say. It still has the standard Dostoevsky style that you'd expect. But yeah, very complex. It definitely isn't an easy book. It's definitely the most challenging book he's written, but it's worth it. It is absolutely worth it. And next up, we have a very controversial book. Bet you've all heard a bit about this one if you're a literary nerd. This is Lolita, a pedophilia novel. Well, not really, but it pretty much follows a man named Humbert, and he kind of narrates the book and romanticizes his advances on a young woman, to say the least. And what I love about that is that it's a very unreliable narrator. The book itself isn't romanticizing it. The narrator is. He's romanticizing it. He's trying to justify what he did and make it sound like there's nothing wrong with it, which I love because us readers obviously see the, what's it, the, what's so disgusting about what he's doing. We see through the veil that he puts up with this narration. The narration is very poetic. The prose is really good. But yeah, I love how the book really tries to mislead you. How Humbert tries to mislead the reader into trusting him, even if obviously with our senses we know he is not to be trusted because he's a fucking pedophile. And yeah, I can see why this book is very controversial. Yeah, parts of it are really, really uncomfortable, but you know what? That's kind of the point. Pedophilia is uncomfortable. I mean, that's why should I even be spelling that out? It's disgusting. It is repulsive, and it's one of the best books I've ever read because of it's willing to try and test the reader to see if they can actually see through this man's bullshit, which I was able to see through it. So if you can see through Humbert's bullshit, why can't you see through Trump's bullshit, guys? Sorry, I'm getting a bit political over there. Next, we have Ulysses. So this is a very divisive book. Um, James Joyce Ulysses is famously one of the most difficult books to read. It's considered one of the best books of the 20th century. And at first, I didn't see that. I absolutely hated this book at first. And I actually had to reread this book twice. So within these 3 months, I actually went back and reread this. So this isn't technically a first read, but yeah, I hated it. It was incoherent, inconsistent. It was a mess. It completely rejected formal writing structure in a bad way, in my original opinion. Unlike Cormac McCarthy, where I think it worked, but with this one, it's like, what are you doing? You're fucking insane. But I went back, I gave it a second chance, and with that stuff in mind, it clicked with me. And this is an absolutely absurd masterpiece of a novel. It doesn't make sense, but for those that are willing to really get in and figure things out, get used to the shifting tone. It really does feel like it's rejecting the norms, but in a unique way. It's highly respectable. And while at first I thought that just because it's doing something unique and rejecting the norm doesn't mean what it's doing is good. But now, after going through the structure, the style, the constant shift, it's all a lot more brilliant to me. I can't really get into why because it's hard to describe in words. You just need to really get into this one yourself. If you hate it, put it down for a while, then go back in with the right expectations. That's really what changes how someone views this book. You have to go in with the right expectations. Going expecting absurdism, and you'll get an absurd masterpiece. Not much else to say on that one because I can't really get into why it's so good without getting into spoilers. And then next up is a book that I knew nothing about. This is The Tale of Genji. I thought this was just a standard Japanese book, but no, it's more than just a standard Japanese book. This is the first book ever written. First novel, not first book. It's older than Don Quixote, Dante's Inferno, and I think that's about it. I was going to say The Odyssey, but no, The Odyssey is a lot older than this one. But this is the first, like, true novel. First, before even Don Quixote. And I'm like, wow, that's interesting. So I picked it up, checked it out, and dear God, they managed to achieve something this good on their first attempt at a novel in history. Like, holy crap, this is a psychologically, thematically rich book that really unpacks the life of Japanese noblemen and noblewomen, pretty much the Japanese noble life at the time. It is set in the first century, as it was written in the first century, I believe. And yeah, she does a good time. I'm a good job at capturing the time, obviously, because she was alive in this time when she wrote it. I'm talking about the author Murasaki Shibiku, I think. But yeah, the book kind of it's really episodic. I can't really describe like a overall plot because it's very episodic. It kind of jumps from different points in time, the different generations of the family, and it's a very, very interesting psychological breakdown of these characters. Very thematically rich, especially for a book this old. And it really astounds me that they managed to achieve something at this level so early on, even before Don Quixote, because this is, in my opinion, better than Don Quixote and well worth its 1,000+ page runtime. Like, they went all out with their first book ever. But of course, all of these books are nothing compared to the most recent book I had finished reading. It took me a bit over 3 weeks to read this, and if you saw my previous video, you know War and Peace. The best book I have ever read. And I just finished reading it a few days ago. Like, Okay, I will admit Anna Karenina is closer to perfection than this book because this one definitely has a few slow parts, some slogs every now and then, and some, from my personal point of view, some slightly, I wouldn't say redundant, slightly overindulgence political lectures and monologues every now and then. Like, yeah, Anna had that. But I feel like, yeah, this is definitely a lot more subtle book. It has a stronger, tighter, more focused plot. It has less characters, which allows it to kind of develop its characters of Levin, Vronsky, and Anna a lot better than the ones in this one. But regardless, even though Anna is a technically better novel from the point that it has less flaws, this one is a greater novel in the sense that it's more ambitious, grander, and manages to achieve such a large scale while still having strong personal, small scale stories showing these people and how their lives are affected by the war, how people take part in the war, these different families, officers, soldiers, these battles. The battles aren't even the most intriguing part of this book. It's these characters. Like, they managed to achieve such intriguing, well realized, and memorable characters in spite of its such large scope. Like any other book like this would probably be focused entirely on the war, but this one takes its time in between the battles to focus on the characters, the people, and I'm like, Tolstoy is a master of crafting real, realistic and believable people, realistic, believable worlds and events, and it really pulls you in. Like both this and Anna Karenina feel like you're reading entire existences unfold upon the page. Maybe Anna Karenina is a bit better in that respect, but War and Peace just does so much more, has such higher peaks. I just can't consider it the weaker novel, even if Anna Karenina definitely has less flaws than this one. No book is perfect. I just called War and Peace the best book I have ever read, and it's not perfect. But like the fact that it manages to achieve all of this and not feel messy, not feel how do I put this? Not feel inconsistent or uh what's the word? I'm out of words. I just in my previous video I said I cannot put how good this book is in words. I am running out of words. I cannot find words to describe it. You just need to read it yourself to really get the full picture of how amazing this novel is. It is absolutely incredible. Slow at first. It didn't interest me at first, but then as I went back in, I noticed the necessity, the importance of all that slow moving fluff in the beginning. Everything is meaningful in this book. Every character, every event, it all plays a part. And I really, really wish I didn't read this book because now every book I'll read afterwards is going to be a disappointment in comparison. Unfortunately, I'd highly recommend reading this book if you want to read a piece of art that will just completely decimate every other book you've ever read. But at the same time, I don't recommend it because it will highly decimate every other book you have read and will read afterwards. Especially after reading these other four books, which are absolutely amazing. They absolutely pale in comparison to this one, and I can't think of any other book ever topping this ever, which sucks because I really want to find a book that'll just absolutely decimate everything I've read, and I found it, but I will. I'm sad knowing that nothing else will ever be as good as this one. So yeah, that was the 5 books I read in the last 5 months. Really big ones. I didn't get to like 13, unlike Ian, but hey, whatever. I still made good progress, and I was able to find the best book of all time. I will be back in the next 3 months with my next update. There's definitely I have, there's definitely a lot. I need to scrape this video. Holy shit! There's definitely a lot of books that I have on my to be read. I have the Broken Empire trilogy, Sword of Kaigen, and I'll talk about those in my every book I have ever read ranked video, which is currently underway, and it's going to take a long ass time to get that one out, but it's going to be worth it because it is going to be my grandest and most epic video I have made. Those are words I'd use to describe War and Peace, and I'm going to use those to describe my video as well. So yeah, every novel I've ever read is currently underway, and you should probably be able to see it by the end of summer, maybe even during summer, depends on if I lock in or not, or if I just end up reading the Broken Empire trilogy all summer. Who knows? I'll see you in the next one.